What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 7. Sleeper picks.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to give you some of my top DFS sleeper picks, super low priced and low ownership players that could crush value this week and give your lineup an advantage over the field. These are risky plays, meant for large tournaments only. Don't go all in on any of these guys. They are high risk, high reward picks. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Week 7. Let's take a look at some sleeper picks at the quarterback position. So my sleeper pick is Sam Howell from the Washington Commanders playing the New York Giants, who have the 9th worst defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing quarterbacks. Sam Howell has averaged 18.4 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.2 rush attempts per game. Only going to be about 6% owned. Now, he's not a deep sleeper pick. A guy like Joshua Dobbs at 3% ownership would be a true sleeper pick here at the quarterback position. But I do think that ownership is low enough where you can get away with a guy like Sam Howell. Actually, there's a guy, Jordan Love, at 7%. So these are the ownership quarterbacks on the low end that I like this week: Jordan Love, Sam Howell, and Joshua Dobbs. But out of those three guys, I like Sam Howell. So he's projected at 16.4 fantasy points here in Week 7. Only 5,500 DraftKings salary, 1,900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 37.5 points scored in this game. They have the Commanders favored by 3. So Sam Howell has scored 18, 29, and 20 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And he got 4, 4, and 6 rush attempts in those games. So I like that he's getting consistent rush attempts, 4 to 6 rush attempts in the last 3 games. That's pretty good rushing volume for a quarterback. He's put up close to 20 fantasy points or more in all 3 of his last games. Now, the matchup's pretty good here. The only thing I don't like about this pick is that Vegas only thinks there's going to be 37.5 points scored in this game, so they have this as a low-scoring game. Normally, you want your quarterbacks in those high-scoring games, but I think Sam Howell can get it done here. So I like Sam Howell here versus the New York Giants. Now, as I was talking about Sam Howell, my eyes kept looking up to Jordan Love because he's in a fantastic matchup and he's only a few $100s more. So take a look at Jordan Love from the Green Bay Packers playing the Denver Broncos, who have the worst defense overall, and they give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So you don't want to ignore these matchups when they're so good. When you have the worst defense and the 2nd to worst defense versus a quarterback, you definitely want to pay attention. And if everything else matches up, it's going to be a good pick. So Jordan Love, he's averaging 19.2 fantasy points per game on the season, and he's only going to be about 7% owned. He's projected at 17.2 fantasy points here in Week 7. And he's only 5,800 DraftKings salary, 2,000 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 45 points scored in this game. They have the Packers favored by 1.5. Now, Jordan Love has scored 8, 20, and 25 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And he got 2, 2, and 9 rush attempts in those games. So he certainly has the rushing upside. And I actually like that he only scored 8 fantasy points last week, because that's going to put people off of Jordan Love when they dig into this play. they're going to be a little concerned about that. Oftentimes, people are scared playing a player coming off of a bad week when it should be the opposite, especially if they're in a good matchup and everything else is looking good. Then that's going to pull their ownership down. And remember, these pro athletes, when they have a bad week, they're going to work extra hard to make sure next week is better. So I think that's a big part of it. So I like Jordan Love here versus the Denver Broncos.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. So my sleeper pick at the running back position is A.J. Dillon from the Green Bay Packers playing the Denver Broncos, who have the absolute worst defense overall, and they give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing running backs. So A.J. Dillon only averaging 6.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 12.8 rush attempts per game and 1.2 pass targets per game. So he came in last week and he backed up a banged up, what is the running back? Aaron Jones. Yes, he backed up a banged up Aaron Jones last week. He got 20 rush attempts, 1 pass target, scored 14 fantasy points. Now, Aaron Jones was limited in practice throughout the week. Now, I'm sure he's going to get more work this week than he did last week. Actually, he didn't play last week at all. So that's going to eat into A.J. Dillon's carries. I don't expect him to get 20 rush attempts this game. But if he can get 15 rush attempts, he's only $5,300 DraftKings salary. He's $1,100 more on FanDuel. He's got a fantastic matchup here. Best matchup on paper at the running back position, so that should cue you into Aaron Jones as well. If Aaron Jones is going to be healthy, he's only $6,800 DraftKings salary. He is listed as questionable, and he was limited in practice. So this is kind of a pivot play here. You have options. You could go with Aaron Jones if it looks like he's going to play the game and not be limited and get the full amount of snaps and carries. Then Aaron Jones at only $6,800 DraftKings salary and $900 more on FanDuel could be a fantastic play here. Only going to be about 9% owned, so that questionable tag is absolutely keeping people away from Aaron Jones in a great matchup. But now, if Aaron Jones is going to be limited, or if he does for some reason sit out, A.J. Dillon becomes a great play. But even if Aaron Jones plays this week, I think A.J. Dillon is still a playable running back if you're looking for a sleeper pick, because his ownership is going to be low. It's a fantastic matchup. He could easily get 15 touches this game and score a touchdown and get 80 plus yards. And could even, he doesn't get too many pass targets out of the backfield, so only about 1 pass target a game. So he's going to get his fantasy points on the ground. But this is the game to do it versus a weak Denver defense. So I like both of these running backs. Just keep an eye on that injury news for Aaron Jones to help you make your decision. So I like A.J. Dillon as a sleeper pick and Aaron Jones as a stud pick if he ends up playing and he's not limited.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. Okay, so I like Drake London. Oh, I talked about him yesterday. I'm going to give you a different sleeper pick here. I do like Drake London. He's going to be about 5% owned. I think he's still going under owned. I don't know what people are waiting for to play Drake London. Scored 25, 15, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Off of 12, 9, and 7 pass targets. Has a fantastic matchup versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. They give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Now, the Bucks do have a good defense overall, so that might keep him out of the red zone. And it would be a week, if any, that they're, so far in versus the Tampa Bay defense, that there's a little bit of cause for concern with Drake London. And his salary has been trending up a little bit here, but I do think he's still underpriced. So where is my sleeper pick? Here he is. If you want a low salary sleeper pick at the same ownership, 5% ownership, take a look at Rondell Moore from the Arizona Cardinals playing the Seattle Seahawks, who have the 10th worst defense overall, give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Now, Rondell Moore, he's averaged 7.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4 pass targets per game. But something interesting has happened with Rondell Moore over the last couple of games. He got 3 rush attempts in both games, both last game and the game before last game. So he got 3 rush attempts in the last 2 games. 6 rush attempts over the last 2 games, 3 in each game. Sorry, it took me so long to figure out the right way to say that. Okay, so Rondell Moore, he only going to be about 5% owned, but the reason that I like this pick, he's getting plenty of pass attempts, 7 targets last week, 5 the week before that. He's been productive, 7 and 11 fantasy points over the last 2 weeks. And he's only $3,500 DraftKings salary, only going to be about 5% owned. Been on the field for 66% of the snaps. It's pretty good. So Vegas thinks there's going to be 44.5 points scored in this game. And they have the Cardinals trailing by 8.5. So it's certainly a passing game script. So I like Rondell Moore as a sleeper pick and a low salary pick here versus the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. I like, my sleeper pick is Darren Waller from the New York Giants playing the Washington Commanders, who have the 2nd worst defense overall, middle of the pack defending opposing tight ends. Darren Waller averaging 9.4 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.8 pass targets per game. And I like this pick. He's only going to be about 2% owned. I think that ownership is way too low. He's been on the field for 84% of the snaps. It's only $5,000 DraftKings salary, $1,000 more on FanDuel. So Vegas thinks there's going to be 37.5 points scored in this game. So a low scoring game. Never like to see that. But they have the Giants trailing by 3. I think it's a good matchup here. He's been productive the past couple of weeks. Scored 9 and 17 fantasy points off of 7 and 11 pass targets. So I like Darren Waller here versus the Washington Commanders.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.